going on, Jerome's? Reality is starting to set in as the Minnesota Vikings may be forced to trade superstar edge rusher Danielle Hunter as they and 99 are continuing to have a stare down over his contract situation. But the question would be, if the Vikings do move on, what is there left at the edge rusher position? Because they traded Zadarius Smith to the Browns, and if they have to trade Danielle Hunter, that's your top two edge rushers being lopped off the top of the defense on a defense that was very poopy last year to begin with. So how are the Vikings going to generate a pass rush? A great pass rush is the great equalizer in the National Football League. And what is Brian Flores going to do on the edge? So looking around, this is what it would look like without Danielle. So we got Davenport in on a 1-year, $13 million deal, a former number 14 overall pick by the Saints, who traded up 2 first-round picks to go get him, the pride of University of Texas San Antonio. And he's a guy that health has been an issue. Consistent productivity has been an issue. Only had half a sack last year, had 9 sacks in 2021. So he would have to step up and be that dude. He would have to be that alpha edge rusher 1, and fortunately he is adept at being a stand-up edge rusher. It's where he's been his most productive throughout his career, so he would slot in nicely in the Flores scheme. So we'll see. Also, Patrick Jones second in year 3, DJ Wanham year 4, the pride of Pitt as well, South Carolina respectively. And I think that could they get starter level production out of both of them combined? Possibly. I think Jones is primed for a major leap. DJ Wanham has gotten great opportunities in the past and been relatively productive with the Vikings. Then you got Verlaine, Weaver, Whitley, also Rands. Although Verlaine, UDFA last year, coming in out of Wake Forest, made some impressions, made the 53, stayed there for the whole season. Andre Carter II, coming out of Army, was the key UDFA signing. Vikings gave him a lot of guaranteed money, and he would have to be the guy that really steps in and as a rotational edge rusher if they do part ways with Danielle after getting rid of Zadarius. And looking at the production last year, so obviously Danielle and Zadarius were 1 and 2. Danielle had 76 pressures, 10.5 sacks, leading the team last year. Zadarius led the team in pressures with 80 and 10. And then Wanham and Patrick Jones combined for just over 800 snaps together, combining for 50 sacks and 8 total. 50 sacks would be a record, but 50 pressures and 8 total sacks. Verlaine had 1 pressure on the quarterback. Davenport last season with the Saints, 490 snaps, 34 pressures, half a sack against Kirk Cousins in London. Fantastic. So he had 0 goose egg D'Angelo Russell sacks last year in the United States, which is kind of funny to me. And Andre Carter II, who was seen coming into last year as a borderline first-round pick, had a bit of a slow season at Army and ended up being undrafted, but 3.5 sacks on 23 pressures last year for the Cadets. And then, if the Vikings do go the free agent route, there's a couple of names out there, and this wouldn't necessarily be looking for your future of the franchise. You're just looking for a guy who can get consistent pressure on his own. And Robert Quinn would be one of them. Schematically, wouldn't be a one-for-one fit. Unique the freaking Ngakoue would make a ton of sense, but would also you'd have to pay up just a little bit. All right, but as a 3-4 edge rusher, he would fit in much nicer than last time around when he was with the Vikings in 2020. Led the team in sacks that year, by the way, with 6. And he would be a much better fit with the Flores scheme versus this Zimmer scheme from back in the day. Clowney, no. Ionis, maybe. Dwayne Smoot would make sense. He's been extremely productive, but for some reason as a free agent. And then you got guys like Melvin Gordon and Justin Houston, who would be scheme fits, but certainly older, both of them 34. But in terms of a player that could come in and just provide some pass rush depth and a bit of a jolt on pass rushing downs, maybe that makes sense. And then Trey Flowers, of course, has worked with Brian Flores in the past, would make sense in that spot. So, I don't know. Maybe they trade for Chase Young, which would be kind of sexy in this spot, but I don't know. I'm still firmly on team pay Danielle, keep Danielle. If you trade Danielle for a first-round pick and some change, and then if you draft an edge rusher, you want that edge rusher to be half as good as Danielle Hunter to be deemed a success. That's how good that he is. He's been underpaid and undervalued for a number of seasons. No, that's not an excuse to overpay him now, but he's still firmly in his prime at 28, going to be 29 in October. I think that he still has 3, 4, 5 good years of his prime, and I'd love to see him in purple. But if they move on, the business is the business, and love the one you're with. But couple question marks there. certainly are. But your thoughts are thoughts. Take a look at the Vikings' edge rushing depth without Danielle Hunter. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.